storage and tiered storage the StorTrends way. This is a joint webinar from the Taneja Group, Storage Industry Analyst, and American Megatrends, owner and developer of the StorTrends product line of storage solutions. My name is Mike. I'll be serving as today's moderator. Webinar is approximately 60 minutes in length, give or take a few minutes. We'll go through our content as quickly as possible, and then we'll open it up to Q&A at the end. You're welcome to submit questions during the course of the presentation. To do that, simply submit your questions through the WebEx tool to today's host. I'm sure all of you have attended webinars before. You know how it goes. We'll collect up those questions during the course of the presentation and then pose them back to presenters during the Q&A. You will remain anonymous during the Q&A, so we'll keep your name out of it when presenting back your questions. All of you have attended webinars. This is a live session today. Technical glitches sometimes happen. If for some reason there's an issue, we'll work to resolve it as quickly as possible and get back to the content quickly. So why don't we go ahead and start a quick review of today's agenda. We're going to first of all talk about the importance of tiered storage and some trends in storage in general, why tiered storage matters. That will be delivered by Jeff Boles from the Taneja Group. After that, we'll talk a little bit about StorTrends tiered storage, so the StorTrends difference, what is unique about the way that StorTrends from American Megatrends delivers tiered storage. We'll show a brief demonstration of the StorTrends GUI, and then finally Taneja will jump back in to review findings from their recent technology validation of the StorTrends 3400i dual controller iSCSI SAN. And then finally at the end, open things up to Q&A. Got ahead of myself a little bit. Okay, two presenters today. Jeff Boles is a senior storage analyst from the Taneja Group. You may recognize the name. Jeff has been in the storage industry for a long time, well over 20 years of storage and IT industry experience. He's got functional experience in areas that include IT governance, operations management, infrastructure architecture, and storage engineering and implementation. He's the former director of Cyber's consulting practice for infrastructure and applications. He's got client-side experience, so he's been in your proverbial chair before, where he worked as the IT manager for the city of Mesa, and he currently leads Taneja Group's technology validation services team, evaluating the offers from vendors like American Megatrends. Joining Jeff is James Dykowski, Senior StorTrends Solution Engineer. James is our most senior storage solutions expert. He's been with the company for a number of years and has been helping StorTrends customers develop and deploy NAS and SAN solutions since 2006. He helps with customer support, product Q&A, solution expertise during the sales cycle, a very experienced guy with an education from the University of Georgia and an MBA from Shorter University. All right, hopefully the slides are progressing okay for everybody. I'm going to quickly introduce both companies. The Taneja Group, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the Taneja Group, a very recognizable brand in storage, third-party analysts that have been monitoring trends, vendor solutions for a number of years. The group was founded by Arun Taneja. They provide a range of services not only for vendors like American Megatrends, but also end users in terms of industry reports, et cetera, et cetera. Taneja Group has global coverage. They develop a lot of thought leadership content. You can see that on their website. Experience with DAS, NAS, SAN, blade and rack servers, server virtualization technology from the likes of VMware, Microsoft, et cetera. A very strong group of analysts with a good reputation. American Megatrends brought them on board to validate the technology that we're going to be talking about today, and as noted earlier, they'll share some of the results from that exercise. You can visit their website. It's on the screen right now for additional information on their service offering. A little bit of information on American Megatrends and StorTrends. AMI has been in technology for over 27 years, very deep engineering experience in IT hardware. AMI has a global presence. We're headquartered in Norcross, Georgia. We also have offices in Europe and Asia, India, Taiwan, Germany. You may recognize our name from our BIOS product line. We are the current market leader in BIOS technology, so there's about a 50 to 60% chance when you fire up your laptop or desktop in the morning that AMI BIOS is on that particular machine. We offer remote hardware management solutions through our Migrate group, and we have foundational experience in storage going back to the development of the Migrate card that we created in the mid-90s and eventually sold to LSI Logic in 2001. StorTrends, as I mentioned, is the data storage product line of American Megatrends. StorTrends offers both NAS and SAN solutions, both single and dual controller options. We'll be talking about the 3400i dual controller iSCSI SAN today. We have well over 70 patents in storage and data backup technology. We are an engineering company first and foremost, over 1,000 global installs, and recognize customer support through our StorAid brand. We're unique in the sense that we give our customers direct access to the people that developed their storage solutions. StorTrends, like a lot of other data storage vendors, is sold exclusively through the channel. We do that through the StorTrends Certified Channel Partner Program. Okay, we're going to hand controls over to Jeff Boles to talk a little bit about storage challenges today and why tiered storage matters. Jeff, I'm going to transfer things over to you.
Hi, as Mike Time from AMI mentioned, I'm Jeff Boles, Senior Analyst at Taneja Group. One second as I play with the PowerPoint deck here to see if I can get to advance. There we go. So it's likely a little surprise to you to say that storage is under a unique amount of pressure in the data center. We constantly see numbers bandied about by pundits such as myself. Across the industry, data is growing rapidly. The typical 60 to 70% data growth rate you see claimed in the presses means that data doubles at something close to every 1.5 years. The vast majority of that data is unstructured, with much of it coming from rich content creation applications that surround us today, such as Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Photoshop, AutoCAD, Adobe Premiere, and various other creation and design programs. But there's seemingly a new tool nearly every day. At the desktop level, the widespread adoption of Apple laptops opened the door to all types of other programs, from OmniGraffle to whatever other program you might be using. Meanwhile, in the business side of things, the data sources there are undergoing unique change. The ability to extract and mash up data means that all types of analysis now takes place, and that may leave big data sets strewn about your storage. The fact is, much of this data doesn't stay active for very long. Today, we're talking about auto-tiering. And auto-tiering is a technology that can help address some of this data deluge, because the impacts of too much data can be far bigger than just being buried under a mountain of data. There are a number of other trends happening in the data center that mean bad consequences for this 1 to 5% of your data that you may actually need to get to. That 1 to 5% that's actually active in your business today. You see, the nature of compute inside a data center is also changing. It used to be that compute was pretty spread out, but it is now becoming much more dense. Over the past 10 years, we've seen massive changes in application architectures that result in more application components running per unit of compute and consuming more IT resources as they run. This is true whether it is virtualization driving this change or just application architecture changes. A quick survey of your Microsoft Exchange, database, web, content, and ERP applications in comparison to your IT architecture from just a few years ago will point out how dramatic this change is for your own IT shop. The sad reality is that storage has not come anywhere close to keeping up with increases in processing power and these densifying workloads in the data center. We store and access our data primarily from magnetic, mechanical, rotating disks, just like we always have. The mechanical nature of these disks means that performance is constrained by physics. You can only move metal parts so fast before they start coming flying through the front of the server rack that holds them. So while storage capacity is increased by leaps and bounds, performance is not. If you look at storage performance, represented by the blue line in this graph, compared to storage capacity, represented by the green line, it may become clear just how slowly disk performance has advanced. I'll point out as well that even the green line for capacity has fallen far behind compute. You may have sitting on your desktop a system that is equivalent in power to what was in a supercomputer only 10 or 15 years ago. Because of slow advances here, storage performance today is typically the critical bottleneck in your data center. It's actually a good thing that only 1 to 5% of our data is active, because more active data would make the problem even worse. But just in case that isn't bad enough, it gets worse. You see, increasingly dense workloads in a data center don't just mean there is more demand on storage. It means that there is also more contention or fighting over storage resources. This can create an I/O blender that makes storage a little worse. If all data is treated equal, the important data can get displaced from cache easily, or maybe cache is just a little less effective across all this churned up data for what may now be hundreds of VMs or apps. With less effective cache, there's simply not enough disk I/O to go around. So you have an I/O blender, and the only answer seems to be to buy more storage, so the contention is not quite so bad. And so that maybe the 1 to 5% of data that is important can get served up well. So this rapidly creates this complex storage infrastructure with lots of different systems. And along with that complexity, a growing demand for human time and effort. The reality is that even businesses that have 1% of their data truly active today will be hard-pressed to deal with it from rotational disk if there is not another layer of intelligence that can take rotational disk further. Whereas servers have become fewer, in this slide going from 4 to 2, storage is multiplied and led to many more storage systems. This is not the answer you want. If you are an administrator, you do not want the complexity and the risk that comes from trying to work with all of those storage systems. But more important for the business, this phenomenon creates a massive hiccup for almost any IT initiative. You undertake application changes or virtualization initiatives for a value benefit or for improvements in total cost of ownership. Introducing complexity and more storage to deliver storage performance can create a trade-off in operational costs, human effort. And this trade-off can offset the savings you were hoping to gain by virtualization or other initiatives. We typically see businesses without a good strategy reaching a plateau in their initiatives where they wonder, where are the savings going? It is a minority of businesses are lucky enough to figure out how to get out of this trap. For other businesses, they come off of this plateau and their operational expenses start going downhill. They might still be saving something on capital expenditures by virtualizing or making a denser infrastructure, but their operational savings may offset all of those CapEx savings, and they may end up in this red zone. Those initiatives usually get canceled. Overcoming these challenges with a better strategy from the outset can yield significant financial results because you might never get to this plateau or to this red area. And in point of fact, there is a better way. This is where technologies like auto-tiering come into play. Typical auto-tiering technologies move data from lower performing disks to faster disks, or even to more expensive media like SSD. But the best of these technologies go a bit further. Unintelligent technologies may operate at a volume level and may end up taking up too much precious space with volumes that contain significant idle data. Some technologies may operate only with SSD. The best auto-tiering technologies should operate at a sub-run level, optimizing individual data blocks. Moreover, they should also optimize rotational disks. Any given storage volume in a storage system is made up of many, many storage blocks. Placing these storage blocks willy-nilly anywhere on the disk has a bad consequence. The mechanical disk head must move all over the place. It must wait for the right spot on disk to rotate back around, And those two interactions can make the performance of a rotational disk crumble. The best auto-tiering approaches operate at that sub-run level and will recognize that optimizing this behavior on a rotational disk is just as important as moving data across different types of disk. These algorithms can optimize rotational disk by placing high-performance blocks together in particular areas of the disk platter so that streaming or random access is optimized. The best of these auto-tiering technologies, of course, come with a full management engine that can also help you influence which data gets tiered and optimized. This can help avoid having critical data displaced by backup or indexing events. Such auto-tiering approaches make better use of the disks you have, and these rotational disks are far more cost-effective storage than solid-state technologies. Optimizing that disk may also help you keep a consolidated single-system storage strategy that keeps you from facing storage complexity issues. And with that, I'll turn this presentation over to James Dukowski from AMI to talk about how StorTrends takes on this auto-tiering challenge.
Yes, thank you very much, Jeff. And so what we will do, as Jeff just explained, is we'll go through the StorTrends product line and evaluate how we overcome these challenges internally. As you can see, as Mike said earlier in our company overview, we have 70 or more patents in the storage technology and data backup for the AMI StorTrends product line. These are continually growing, and we are continually moving forward to keep up with the pace of technology today. We do have the complete team from the Migrate product line that we developed back in the mid-90s that we sold off to LSI Logic. So this is giving us a lot of reliability with our stack. Here you can just see a quick customer snapshot of happy customers that we have within a bunch of different verticals throughout the SMB, and as you can see from Walgreens, even a larger play. This is our product lineup. We do have single controller units, of which all have the ILM functionality within them. And our latest product is the StorTrends 3400i, which is a dual controller unit, of which implements our zone bit recording, which is the disks, block management, as well as the information lifecycle management that we support. Here we can have ILM, as Jeff said before. We can migrate data between tiers. So now all incoming I/O comes into the faster tier to your 15K SAS drives. And while doing that, you're maximizing your performance for the incoming and outgoing I/O as we leave space for any data that comes in. It'll immediately go to the tier 1, your 15K, say a RAID 10. All this is critical data. It needs to be written and safely habitated onto the StorTrends unit. Then we can migrate this data down as it becomes older or less frequently accessed. And then, of course, as we go down tiers, we gain capacity, so we maximize the gigabytes per dollar that we receive from the purchase of disks. Now, moving into that tier 1 piece, we want to maximize the disks throughout the life of having the StorTrends appliance. As disks become full, they lose on performance. This is only because the spindle has to go across, the head has to go across the spindle, and the larger the amount of data filled up there, the more time it takes, increasing your latency, slowing down your performance. So what we do is divide the disks into 3 zones, and as you can see on the chart here on the right, we try to keep all of the highly accessed data on the outer tracks while maintaining the, as we have here at class 1, data on the inner tracks. So now we can maximize all the incoming and outgoing performance within the tier 1, as well as making sure that the tier 1 with ILM is also available for all incoming and outgoing I/O that is more frequently used than lower tiers within the unit. In that, you need a good management GUI to practice with this. With this, we have managed trends. It's completely integrated into our StorTrends product, as we'll see here in a second with the demo. And you can see on the right, we have these system resource management charts. This is extensive data collection for anything that you would ever need to know about your StorTrends unit, from disk space, disk utilization, CPU utilization, and including even an outreach planner. So if you wanted to add a JBOD later on in the future, you'd be able to take your current rate of growth and see how far that'll project out and see how long it'll last you. Down here at the bottom, we have the most important when it comes to ILM. This is the workflow management chart. What we'll do is we'll actually watch the actual foreground activity, which is the yellow graph on the top. Over time, we'll start predicting when we think foreground activity will be coming. And if we know that it's in the middle of your day, we will not do background functions such as ILM demotion, stuff like that, to ensure that you have the best performance for your disk possible. Okay, and now we'll move over to the GUI demo, just a quick view of how the StorTrends Manage Trends GUI works. You can use Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome to log into the StorTrends unit. We have ITX admin as our default username. Those are, of course, configurable per unit. Okay, we're logging in right here. What it's doing is doing a check based on all the storage pools, all the health information, all the volumes that are available within the unit. Okay, on the left pane, we can see we have demo left, which is the name of our unit. We have a left and right controller, of course, system performance, so we can see our CPU memory utilization. And then we have our storage space, which will have our storage pool, which is our collection of arrays. For ILM, we could have a SAS and SATA array, or we could have dual SATA arrays and stripe across them, depending on how you want to expand on the fly. We'll just start here up at the top to see, okay, we have a yellow thing, array degraded or sensor status. Okay, so we know we have an idea that there's something wrong in the unit. We can merely look into it and see what's going on. Here, I just have the spare disk has a predictive failure count to show that how errors are seen within the StorTrends GUI. You can hover over any piece of hardware and see the actual status. Here we have a 2 terabyte drive. There's no available space. And we can also view the rear side, so we can see any network interfaces, their status, what the IP is, including power supplies. Everything's plugged in, everything looks good. We do full event logging. We have a dashboard. This has anything from UPS connectivity with USB or serial cable to any form of iSCSI settings that you need to set up, including a theme if you want to have your DR unit as red and your local unit as blue. And then we do support email alerting. And what we can do with our StorAid program is actually monitor all StorTrends alerts that come into your unit. And if it's a disk failure or something like that, we can go ahead and proceed with the RMA and be ready to go before you potentially even know about the issue. Here we have left controller and right controller. Let's just look at the system performance real fast. You can see here's the CPU. We can see the memory utilization. And you can see events. So we can see here there's a system startup. So the memory was obviously not being used here. We have a slider bar if you want to go to a specific point in time. We have the event log here as well. Okay. And now we have our storage overview. You can see here we have volumes V1 and V0 pre-created. What we have is V0 going ahead and running I/O to it just to show the SRM charts here in the future. Now that it's checking out the storage pool, making sure that the array is okay and the volumes, we're going to go ahead and go through just a quick volume wizard to show how easy and simple and intuitive our GUI is, hopefully compared to all competitors. Here we'll select our storage pool, SP0. We'll select next. You can see here we have 25 terabytes of free space. Okay, we'll just do test 0. We'll do that at 123 gigabytes. Thin or exact. Add to list. We'll do a test 1. And we'll do this one 23 gigabytes. And we'll do this exact provisioned. Add to list. And you can continue on for 256 volumes. Once you select finish, it'll create the SAN volumes. It's creating the targets for you so you now have the Lundu attached to. It'll enable any portals or any form of alias IPs if they're required, and you're good to go. On the left pane, you'll automatically see our test 0 and our test 1 volumes come up under the volumes section within that storage pool. And on the right side, you can see the overall storage information. We do support up to 256 terabytes. And of course, on the bottom right, you can see the configuration, the used space, the available space, and if there's any snapshot schedule within the volume. As you can see for V0 and V1, we do have 30-minute snapshot schedules set. Let's take a look at that now. So we can select V0. And within the snapshot scheduling that StorTrends brings to you, we have multiple levels. So if you wanted to keep, say, 20 for every 5 minutes, just to have a 5-minute increment for the last hour, and then say you have 30 minutes for the last 2.5 hours, you can see the retention of 5 right here. You can take these on a daily, weekly, or even monthly schedule. With the SnapAssist replication feature, we can also replicate these very easily and very seamlessly to the end user and the initiator. Okay. Inside of here, we can see the snapshots listed. You can see here every 5 minutes or every 30 minutes, it's just taking a snapshot, automatically deleting the old and creating the new. And we support up to 7 levels. Okay, we have our target list, and now we're just going to quickly go through our SRM charts. Here we can have space utilization. So you can see the space used within the StorTrends container, which is the storage pool, or a particular volume. So we can select the volume, and we can cycle over here. We can slide the graph over, and we can see a particular view. We can narrow this down if we'd like, anything. Okay, here we could enter 16 terabytes if we wanted to see what a 16 terabyte JBOD would do for this volume or the storage pool if we'd like. Okay, volume performance. So we can see here this volume has no data. It's a brand new volume. This is an old volume that I have running I/O as we speak. We can see the throughput of it. We can see the reads and writes right here. And you can see how this right here zooms down into the bottom layer. This is 4K random, 67% reads, 33% writes, running I/O as we speak. And we can select instantaneous, so every 5 seconds what it'll do is update for us and show us what throughput we're getting on the volume level. Workflow management, as I spoke before, this is an estimation in the green of the current workload. Of course, we had a heavy workload all at one time, just like we do now, as you can see here on the right. And what it's doing is estimating less and less because we obviously don't have any I/O. During this green heavy I/O period, we would not do background functions such as information lifecycle management, or if you added an array and you needed to do some striping, they would also alleviate doing that during those heavy functions. Information lifecycle management, I'm running those all of that I/O to this V0 volume right here. As you can see, it is keeping all of these blocks on the outer tracks. So this is the hot zone, the outer tracks, within the tier 0. So now we're maximizing our performance based on the access points of these blocks. If I started writing to V1 and stopped writing to V0, we would instantaneously see V0 blocks either down in the medium zone or cold zone, depending on how much space is used. We would see them shoot up and migrate to the hot zone immediately. All the while, as time goes by and we don't access V0 blocks, they'll slowly migrate down to the lower zones. And if we had an additional tier, it would also go down to the lower tier. We do have storage pool space management. This just gives you an overview of how much space is used within your storage pool. I/O performance. We can actually see IOPS or throughput within a particular volume. As I said before, we're running 4K blocks on the V0. 67% reads. As you can see on the top chart, this is the reads in the throughput mode. And we can see the writes down below. If we selected IOPS, it'll merely change the left-hand side to show you the I/O that's actually running within that volume on a particular time. And then even down to logical drive performance, we can see the latency within the disks on the array. This could help if you see something out of normal. You could almost establish that there might be a predictive failure or something like that going on with one of the hard drives. Similarly to the volume wizard, we also have a SAR wizard. I won't go into that today because we're trying to keep this brief and geared towards the information lifecycle management status. But what we can do here, at any time, we can always give a live demo and show how the STAR replication wizard works. Very simple, put in an IP, click on which volumes you want, and set up any WAN optimization or WDS features functionality that you'd like for the WAN, and then click Finish, and it'll automatically mount and replicate your snapshots on the fly. Okay, well that sums up everything for the live demo. I'll go back to give control to Jeff.
And while Jeff is taking back control, just a reminder, you're encouraged to submit questions. We're happy to hang around for however long we have them. Just shoot the question to the host through the WebEx tool, and we'll pose it back to Jeff and James during the Q&A. Jeff?
Thanks, James. Thanks, Mike. So let me get back control here. So Taneja Group just recently set out to take a hands-on look at the StorTrends 3400i array to see how it was stacking up in the competitive marketplace. To get a feel for capabilities and polish, we put a couple of 3400i configurations through the paces with an eye on how well it could deliver robust storage in an operational infrastructure, whether it is easy to use and deploy for SMB and SME administrators, whether it is ready for prime time performance, and whether there are unique features that might deliver unique value to customers. The results of this exercise will be published in mid-August and will be available on the Taneja Group website. During the course of that testing, we put the 3400i through a number of tests and validated a number of capabilities, including things like controller architecture, multipathing, failover, rolling firmware upgrades, I/O performance, exchange performance, and we also tested a capability entirely unique to AMI, built-in WAN optimization of data replicated between StorTrends arrays. Usually that's a costly third-party addition to an infrastructure to get WAN optimization of replicated data. But for the purpose of this presentation, we specifically tested StorTrends ZBR tiering technology. We wanted to put ZBR under the microscope to see if it would, in real-world use, have an effect on the performance that StorTrends 3400i delivered. We also wanted to quantify exactly what that effect might be, so potential customers could judge for themselves if there's value to be had in this extra built-in storage intelligence and optimization. Now, to be clear, StorTrends auto-tiering technology refers to multiple features here. They have ZBR, which is the recording of data in specific places on the disk to optimize the performance of that disk. And they have what they call ILM, which is tiering across multiple types of disk to move more often access data up to faster performing disks if there's multiple types of disk in a system. Collectively, I'll call these a number of things as I talk about them. I may refer to ZBR and include all of these things, or ILM and include all of these things, and they generally fall under the auto-tiering definition by Taneja Group terminology. And when we put these things through the test, we tested them all together. So how did we validate and test this technology? The specifics are on this in the next slide, but loosely, we had two systems. One filled with fast disk and one filled with slow disk. We first set out to create a single volume filled with dumb data that would take up all of the fast disk. And then we set up another volume for our test data on the slow disk. And the idea was that as we tested I/O against this volume stored on the slow disk, it would be the only volume receiving I/O and would consequently be tiered up the faster disk. We tested performance using iometer on the slow disk, and then we watched inside the StorTrends GUI to see if this data that we just accessed would be tiered up to fast disk and optimized onto that disk. After we observed it being tiered up, then we tested it again to see how this would impact performance. So as the data moved, we saw notable increases in performance. In some cases, nearly doubling the performance that we first observed before it had been tiered to faster disk. AMI provides a management interface within their web GUI that shows off some of the progression of this data. So after we ran our first tests using iometer, we saw about 3,700 IOPS, as you just saw. And then we looked at the Managed Trends interface to see how data progression was coming along. This represents a point in time where the data had just started being tiered up to tier 0, the hottest zone, as we were running an iometer against this volume. You see only a subset of blocks from the volume have been touched by iometer at this point and tiered up to faster disk. After we were assured that all the data moved up to this fastest tier of disk, and this shows, again, the Managed Trends GUI for IOM, showing all of our data blocks being parked on tier 0 now. It's the fastest performance disk and the fastest zone of this fast performance disk. After this tiering happened, we reran our test. And this test against fast SAS disk now and the tier 0 zone of that disk generated about 7,000 IOPS. As you can see here, and you'll have to look at the lower table on this display, the upper table refers to some additional testing that we did. So please look at tables 2.0. As you can see here in this table, the effect of ZBR and IOM, this auto-tiering technology, moving data from slow SATA disk up to this faster SAS disk, was significant. In our sequential reads and writes, we saw a decent boost. And as we got into random reads, random writes, we saw an even more significant boost. In some cases, more than doubling the performance that we actually observed from the untiered data. So our hands-on testing also covered a number of other technologies and tests. And ZBR undoubtedly played a role in many of these tests behind the scenes. One notable example, ZBR and IOM are likely the reasons why a StorTrends 3400i system was able to successfully run a Microsoft Exchange load gen test with 10,000 users. So on that note, I'll turn this presentation back over to Mike Tyne of AMI StorTrends.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, James. Really appreciate your effort and time today. We've got some time, folks, so again, if you have a question, please go ahead and submit those through the chat feature, or pardon me, the questions feature in WebEx. We'll repeat those back to the presenter. I do have a few questions that have come in. I'll go ahead and read these in the order that I've received them. So these are open to James or to Jeff. First question, and this refers to the 3400i array. So James, this is for you. Is there a delay when accessing previously demoted data?
Okay, that's an excellent question, actually. There is zero delay when accessing the previously demoted data. Initiators are unaware that the data was even demoted over whatever amount of time that it was. In that, obviously, if the data was demoted, it will be on the slower disks. Instantaneously, though, as soon as it's accessed, it will be migrated up to the faster array, and it'll experience the latency, the limited to little to no latency that the faster disks provide.
Okay. I'm sorry, Jeff, did you have a comment?
Sure. James, can I get you to expand a little bit on what that process is behind the scenes with reads versus writes? Because I know during the course of our testing, we observed some great performance on the retiering of data interactively as we were running I/O without any disruption to I/O. So,
Sure.
Writes as they come into the system are probably optimized immediately on fastest tier disk with reads moving in the background process. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So the beauty about ILM is, or at least for us, the way StorTrends does it, we do allocate and leave open some of the top tier for incoming data. So now you will have space available for any incoming I/O. As well, we also leave another percentage of space for previously accessed data, of which will be promoted and then accessed from the initiator going forward.
All right. I'll move along to the next question. This comes from a current compellent user. In my compellent array, sometimes blocks don't migrate for some time. I'm paraphrasing a bit here. So how long does it take StorTrends to migrate from a lower tier?
Okay.
Two-parter.
I wasn't 100% sure about that with our competitor there, but yeah, it's absolutely instantaneous. So when we run our ILM function in the background, as long as workflow management says that we're not in the peak part of the day, we'll instantaneously promote that data. So the next time it is accessed, or since you just read from it, as soon as you write and change that data, it should be up on the faster tier for the higher performance.
Okay. For the person that asked that question, if you need further elaboration, certainly hit us up through the chat feature, and we're happy to expand. A few more here, James. Can I access my data while it is being migrated?
Oh, absolutely. Internally, we of course are protecting all data when we're migrating, promoting, and demoting data. So there is an internal lock system. If that data has not been successfully migrated or promoted or demoted, it will be accessible as wherever it stands at that time.
Great. Couple more. And again, believe this one, James, is for you. How often is data migrated within zone bit recording, ZBR?
Okay. Those are on the same function. Those all fall within the same timescape as ILM as well, in that they work together. This is on an hourly basis, and that is as long as workflow management sees that there won't be such high usage in the middle of a work day or something like that.
Okay. Another question, are there promotion issues during the promotion and demotion actions?
Are there promotion issues?
Pardon me, performance issues, pardon me.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. Okay,
yeah,
absolutely. There are performance issues during promotion demotion. It is an additional read and write within the array, and that's why we have that workflow management feature within the StorTrends unit. So again, right, if it's a high point in the day, and the StorTrends unit sees that there's a lot of reads and writes coming in and out of the unit, it won't do that because it does know that we want to maximize the performance for, first of all, your incoming and outgoing I/O from the initiators. So we will hold off and make sure that there aren't any performance issues while doing this promotion or demotion within the ILM and or ZBR function.
Great. Question for you, Jeff. Are you, and paraphrasing a little bit, are you willing to share your findings directly with prospective StorTrends customers?
Certainly. And like I said, that report will be published in mid-August. I'm certainly happy to answer questions and share perspective until then or even after then. But the report will be published in mid-August and will be available on the Taneja Group website at that time. So.
Okay. For the person that asked that question, if you need assistance and would like to speak to Jeff, certainly you can let us know. We'll be sending up a follow-up email after the completion of the webinar with information on the recording and information for continuing education. I'll do a final call for, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'll also point out they can contact Nevin Taneja at the address listed there on the slide in front of them, and he can mediate some of that contact as well, or I think my email was earlier in the deck as well. So.
Great. So I'll do a final call for questions. Give it a second here while we're waiting for those. As Jeff mentioned up on the screen, if you'd like to read more about either Taneja Group or StorTrends or American Megatrends for that matter, we encourage you to visit the respective websites of each business. Those are listed on the screen. Why Taneja? Taneja is an industry-recognized analyst firm. They produce great content. If you're thinking about a storage decision within the next year, you do yourself and your business well by checking out their website and reading what they have to say about trends in the industry, vendors, etc. And then, of course, if you're also thinking about a storage decision this year, American Megatrends would love the opportunity to compete for that business. We're happy to provide a one-on-one demo to further elaborate on any of the technologies that James showed today. We offer quality, proven storage, and we do it at a very affordable price point. We'd love the opportunity to compete. If you have any questions about anything you've seen today, where you can get additional information, how you can schedule a demo, etc., you're welcome to email me directly. My email address is there on the screen. Okay, I'm going to see if there are any other questions. I think that's it, folks. So we'll go ahead and let you get on with your day. Wrap this up a few minutes early. Appreciate your time. We know you get a lot of requests to attend a lot of webinars, so thank you for spending 45 minutes with us. We do appreciate it. Have a good work week. James, Jeff, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.